Novo Nordisk soaring to a fresh all-time high today after posting supersized fourth-quarter results. The drug maker's sales rising 36% on a constant currency basis, boosted by the popularity of its obesity drugs. Novo now anticipating 2024 sales to grow by as much as 26%. Joining us now to dig into the obesity boom, Jared Holz, the healthcare sector strategist at Mizuho. Jared, great to have you with us.
Thank you.
I feel like everybody expected a gangbusters quarter. When does the rubber hit the road in terms of having to prove the stocks run? I mean, I don't want to say it's easy, but when there's more demand for your drug than you can make, it's pretty easy to meet expectations.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. The quarter, I actually didn't think it was so gangbuster. Thought it was good relative to expectations, slight beat. But yeah, I think if the party line from Novo is that the demand-supply imbalance favors them by a great deal, which it seems like it does, I feel like people still want to own the stock.
Anecdotally, I hear that Zepbound is a lot easier to get a hold of. And Novo is saying that they're going to increase production of the lower dose. And I'm just wondering what your read is, because in theory, Lilly's molecule should be much more effective than Novo Nordisk. So are you going to see some sort of differentiation at any point? Like, when will you start thinking maybe people are opting for Zepbound over Wegovy?
I think they are. I'm not sure what's more available where. I think it's regional and just based on the distribution cycle, things of that nature. But yeah, the data for Zepbound is better. I think if you're a patient and you kind of are in the know in terms of what the weight loss data looks like and things of that nature, then you're probably going to opt for Eli Lilly's drug. If you don't really care, you just want something that's going to give you 15 to 20% weight loss, you probably just want to get whatever you can get your hands on, which was the case back in the fourth quarter, is sort of the case now. I still think that, like, for the most part, this is a metropolitan area drug. It hasn't even gotten into the rest of the country, which is why Lilly Direct came about. We talked about that earlier this year and things like that.
So those are all the tailwinds. The headwinds, at a certain point, they haven't been valuation one. But what's the next thing? What's the potential, not existential risk, but derails these stocks in the short term?
Or competitive risk.
Or competitive risk.
It's as if there's two horses in this race.
70 drugs in development, 7-0 right now.
Yeah, I think the impediment for the stocks to keep on going up would be one of two things. Pay or pushback to the extent where you start hearing from managed care, enough is enough. We can't take the influx of prescriptions. We're going to put barriers, in order for people to get these medications. Or you start seeing pipeline failures, either at Lilly or Novo. Like, there's a lot of anticipation that Eli Lilly is going to have this oral drug pretty soon, right? There's going to be data for it this year. And that's going to be the next leg of the story for them as patients kind of wean themselves off the injectable. They go onto the oral. If the oral's not very good, if there's some safety issue, I think that stock takes a hit, too. And then, obviously, valuation. I mean, they're leagues above anything else in the peer group.
So in totally unrelated industries, we've seen huge demand and then an oversupply. And so we're at that point now where there's this real choke point of not enough supply. How long do you think it takes to get that in balance?
I think it's really tough to say, Karen. I think some of it depends on the international expansion, right? This is a U.S.-dominated drug for them. In the meantime, Novo is putting in $6 billion worth of infrastructure additions this year, Eli Lilly 3. So at some point when that comes on board and they can make enough drug, then the supply-demand conversation kind of abates. And I think the bar is definitely higher as we move forward here.
Can I just switch gears just for the last question here? And that's the medical device makers, which reported earnings, and they were gangbusters, all-time highs today. And I was talking to Karen. I was like, when you're hearing from insurers that medical loss ratios were higher because people were getting stuff done last quarter, it makes sense that these device makers saw great sales. And I'm wondering how much of that continues, considering the insurers are assuming that those loss ratios remain high.
Yeah, it's an impossible question to answer, honestly. If United and Humana can't predict the future and have, tons of actuaries working there and data supposedly, I think it's tough for the street to figure out. But I would say another few quarters of this. I think that's what the medical device companies are saying. I think that's the read-through for managed care, that we're, at least for the first half of this year, procedure volumes stay elevated. I think that's why the guidance out of Stryker and Boston has been so strong. But the key question is going to be, when does it kind of start to go the other way? I feel like there's going to be a plateauing effect at some point. Maybe it's mid this year into the second half, and then we can kind of figure out what to do with both of those groups. But yeah, Medtech on fire, managed care at the other end.